We're sitting out here in the middle of Iowa, which, as you might guess, is not one of the most diverse places in the world.
It's been really interesting to see how many international students attend Iowa now. And of the undergraduates, a vast majority are from China.
An American student who's coming from rural Iowa or a smaller town in Iowa, they might not interact with not only any international people, but just any minorities at all.
I think people love the idea of diversity or of growing globalization, but it's hard and messy sometimes.
My name is Yu-Hao Chen, and I'm from Shenzhen, China. After coming from a huge city, it's a big shock for me. In my kind of imagination, Iowa was like a corn place where people just eat corn.
My parents didn't have chance to come to the United States, so they really want me to come. I watch a lot of American movies, Hollywood movies. I really want to get closer to American culture.
In 2007, there were about 100 Chinese undergraduate students here. Now there's close to 3,000. You look at the businesses that have sprung up in the last couple of years. I'd recommend it. In Iowa City, there are more bubble tea stores than there are Starbucks here, which is pretty amazing. That's definitely a reflection of the changing student population here.
China's economy has quadrupled in the last decade. So we see lots of parents in China who are now able to send their children to an American university. What did Lincoln say about...
State funding is going out the door, and more state institutions are taking in international students because they bring in out-of-state tuition. And so the funding model actually encourages us to take a higher percentage in. And so that's why we started down that path.
There is a huge business aspect to running a large state institution. You see a new university building pop up, and you have to think to yourself, could the university have afforded that unless there were a ton of international students here?
A lot of international Chinese students, they prefer to stay in their comfort zone because they don't want to feel embarrassed because of their poor English.
Projecting the interest expense.
Left to their own devices, the students don't naturally integrate in the kind of way that they should.
The buddy program is a creation.
The university has taken a number of steps to try to help integrate the international students, to acculturate, to assimilate them better. And it remains an incomplete objective.
Last year, there became a huge social media explosion of anti-Chinese and anti-Asian student feelings on Twitter, on Facebook.
We felt that we were not accepted on the campus and we were made fun of. That was really a sad point of my college life.
At the beginning, I feel really angry. I just realized that stereotype exists, especially for the minority group. It's part of human nature, so you cannot avoid it. Before I come to the United States, I have a stereotype that all American citizens have a gun, so don't have an argument with them and they will have their gun to kill you.
There are still individuals out there that create problems. I've seen that on this campus. I've seen it on other campuses.
Welcome to English Club. Come on in, Jason.
I'm just so glad that we have the ability to shine the light on the many more students that are doing things that make this an inclusive, welcoming environment.
We know that going into a foreign country can be intimidating.
I wish that more domestic students understood that interacting with international students is good. It makes you a smarter person. It makes you better at whatever you want to be. You're going to have to deal with China, or you're going to have to deal with Africa or India or wherever these students are from.
When you're on the outside of the square, you may not...
I think my plan would be kind of find a job after graduation in the area of student affairs. I hope that I can stay in the U.S.
It's really hard to get a working visa after the graduation, and that's the reason why international students want to go back to China. I try to find some evidence. If I find a really good internship, I would consider to stay in the United States because, being a journalist in the United States, I think it's much more cooler than being a journalist in China.
We saw increasing numbers. I think what a squirrel I was personally as an 18-year-old freshman. But going to college halfway around the world in a language that's maybe a second or third language is a huge challenge. I have so much respect for the international students willing to accept this challenge and largely succeeding.
I think that the university needs to think really hard as they continue to recruit more and more international students. We're going to need to make more chances for international and American students to meet and to interact and to form bonds and friendships. I think the university needs to look at international students and American students, not just as a paycheck, but as people that they're supposed to mentor and take care of while they're here. If the university doesn't do that, and Iowa isn't the best career starting off point for international students, Iowa's going to miss out on a great opportunity to recruit more international students.